and young people drinking themselves to death. We were not hearing those stories, but we are hearing of how they would meet as young people, and they would memorize chunks upon chunks of scriptures. And they would gather, and people would stand there, and they are quoting like a whole chapter, and the young people were grounded deeply in the Word of God. And some of them, today, even when you sit under their ministry, they are powerful ministers, because them in the 90s, they were being deeply grounded in the Word of the Lord. People would, I remember there were those times as intercessors, again from different churches, not just intercessors, but together with our leaders, bishops, and whoever else, we would walk through the streets of Nairobi, prayer walking the city and prayer driving around the city. In the city center of Nairobi, we had many crusades. There was a very big one at the railways roundabout, and another one at Development House, with the powerful, consistent people that were there almost on a daily basis. And different churches had their different places where they would gather and have lunch hour meetings or street meetings in the city of Nairobi. You will have to look hard today to find a preaching going on in the city, except by just one man who nobody is even listening to. But those days, crowds upon crowds would gather in the city center. At one time, I asked someone that was working at City Hall to find out, was there a notice, was there a ruling that was given by the city council to stop all these evangelistic meetings in the city center? And the answer was no. Nobody stopped them. But somehow, in the course of time, they all faded and they all stopped. But you're talking about a period when all that was happening and happening easily, and that was changing the climate of the city. And there was so much of the lunch hour meetings, the morning glory meetings, and if you were there, you will remember, especially at City Hall, people were literally running to the meetings. Why? Because the place would be filled to capacity, downstairs, upstairs, along the aisles. Out there, the place was jammed, and that was morning glory, lunch hour meetings, and Mondays and Thursdays when we had Bible studies. People would, even when it rained, I remember, sometimes it would rain. We did not expect it was going to rain in the evening, but we would run to the meeting in the rain and sit there wet. We could not miss a meeting because of the weather. That was in the 90s, backward to 70s. So there was rejuvenated, the church was rejuvenated, the church was active, the church loved God, there was such commitment. People would come up to Nairobi Cinema very early at 6, some earlier, and people would come from far. Some pastors would come as far as Kiambu, and they would be there by 6 so that at least you'd get a seat. A time of winter when there was a great harvest of souls, and the people's lives were being deeply grounded in the Lord. And that was not just the old, that was also the young people. In the prayer meetings at City Hall, pastors were filling the first rows. Pastors. They were not coming because they were coming to minister. They were coming because they wanted to come and pray with others. Pray when pastors come. Thank God today we have our Pastor Njagi. We have our Elder Kitavi and others. Them days, in the recent past, we only come if you're coming to minister. Them days, you did not have to minister even for months, but you could not miss a prayer meeting. At a certain time, as we began to enter into the year 2000, there was a change. It didn't come with a bang. but it came gradually to hunger after God and to seek God. And we began to get other alternatives, other things to do. So as you went to places of morning glories, lunch hour, the numbers dwindled down. Not that there was a scandal or a story, but people just couldn't find themselves coming to the morning glory or lunch hour or evening meetings. Those Uhuru Park crusades, do you hear about them? Do you? You don't. And I don't think they were stopped from coming. Them that were coming, but they do not come. Even those international guests, ministers, evangelists who would come, I don't think the government ever raised a blockage to tell them that they cannot come. But for some strange reason, you don't hear of those people that are coming from wherever, and they are coming here to hold crusades. If they come, it is randomly. It is scarcely is happening, if at all. So it is like there was a slow death, slow but sure. It is killing the meetings in the morning glory, and then also eventually the churches in the city center began to be closed, so that those that like us were meeting there in Nairobi Cinema, others like Pastor Apostle Mwambili, and other churches that were near the city, one by one, for different reasons, began to find themselves being pushed out. And as we stand now, there is a low gear, if I could put it that way. There is no enthusiasm when it comes to the things of the kingdom. But people are very enthusiastic when it comes to pursuing these other matters. In them days when God was moving among us, we would get words of prophecies, but maybe we didn't even take them deeply with the way they deserved. And like we would get warnings that if we would not continue serving God and fearing the Lord and honoring God, and if we would deviate from pursuing Him and pursue other things, then at one time, God would cause us to become a byword. A people that used to be, but are not. A people that used to do this or hold these meetings in these places, but they are not. Why? At a time of caution, it was not taken seriously. And today, as we look back, we just see the aftermath of all that. In the year 2008, in the month of July, the 4th, the Lord put in our hearts just one word: invasion. The details were not given then, but then we began to realize that, like the Lord was talking about, especially the city of Nairobi being invaded. And we've mobilized ourselves, and we began to pray for the city, to pray walk the city. And of course, there was zeal at the beginning, and even that zeal has not lasted. Just a remnant has remained that still walk the city. But while we delayed and played it